But first we begin with this. Behind me, things are very green here in the Sandhills this year, but that's not necessarily the case all across Nebraska. Because of that, some producers might be considering bringing their cattle in a little earlier and dry lotting them this fall. Carly Gerlach has more on some tips when it comes to dry lotting cattle.
Drought has been a common topic and on the minds of producers as the state of Nebraska continues to experience drought. The lack of moisture has influenced the decisions of many farmers and ranchers, causing them to adjust their practices to ensure that they will produce a successful crop or successfully feed their herd. This fall, cattle producers may look to an alternative way to feed their cattle.
Drought certainly impacted us quite a bit across the Midwest the last couple of years, and so we've really seen, our pastures take its toll on the pastures. We see shorter forages that haven't really recovered. Improved pastures and alfalfa stands are thinning out due to it. But we can hopefully increase the productivity of those pastures in future years by using different techniques such as forage extenders or feeding cattle in dry lots.
Producers who traditionally pasture their cattle may choose to feed them in a dry lot setting, giving their pastures time to recover from grazing.
The biggest advantage of dry lotting this year is it gives those pastures a little more time to recover. We've been in drought for about the last 3 years or so, and these pastures have taken it pretty hard around the state of Nebraska. So in order to give those pastures a little relief, to be able to stockpile some more dry matter tonnage, we can put them in a dry lot scenario and then just feed those cattle harvested feeds rather than using our pasture resources.
Beyond allowing pastures recovery time, dry lotting can offer other advantages, such as closer observation of the herd, low weaning stress, and the opportunity to bunk break calves prior to weaning. With the advantages of dry lotting, it is important to ensure that the lot is in good condition. When properly managed, confined feeding herd health can be compared to pasture scenarios.
It's better to have a little bit of moisture, but you don't want it to be too dry, because if it's too dry and your pens are too big, that can lead to pneumatic issues for the calves. And so with the cows kicking up all that dust, it can cause some respiratory issues in those younger, smaller calves.
While some areas of the state are looking for more rain, others have found relief from the drought. Dry lotting may not be necessary for every producer this fall, but it is an option producers should be willing to consider.
Dry lotting is something that you really need to take a pencil to and figure out the economics of it. I think if it's a cheaper option, that it's definitely something that maybe should definitely be looked into, just for producers to look to see what their options are and weigh the two options against one another. There are some benefits of having your cattle in a dry lot to where they're easier to monitor and it creates less weaning stress on the calves when that time comes. But all in all, it's really a decision that needs to be left to the producer to make.
As the fall approaches, cattle producers will need to consider their options and decide what will benefit their operation in the end, whether that be dry lotting or keeping their cattle in the pasture. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Carly Gerlach.